The clock struck midnight as Jake Thompson gripped the steering wheel of his beat-up sedan, rain pounding against the windshield like bullets from a storm that refused to quit. He was supposed to be home by now, tucking his 6-year-old daughter Lily into bed after a long shift at the office. But here he was, cruising the dark streets of downtown Seattle, his phone buzzing with an urgent text from his boss's assistant. "Ms. Harrington is at O'Malley's bar. She's wasted. Pick her up discreetly. No questions," Jake cursed under his breath. Elena Harrington, the iron-fisted CEO of Technova, the tech giant where he worked as a mid-level analyst, wasn't someone you said no to. Not if you wanted to keep your job and the health insurance that covered Lily's asthma treatments. Single dad life meant swallowing pride like bitter medicine. But as he pulled up to the dingy bar, what he saw through the fogged window made his blood run cold. Elena, slumped against the curb, her designer suit soaked, surrounded by 3 shady figures closing in like wolves on prey. His heart slammed against his ribs. Without thinking, Jake bolted from the car, rain drenching him instantly. "Hey, back off!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the downpour. The men turned, smirks fading as Jake, built like a linebacker from his college football days, charged forward. One swung a fist. Jake dodged and countered with a solid punch that sent the guy sprawling. The others hesitated, then scattered into the night. Elena mumbled incoherently, her eyes glassy, as Jake scooped her up, her head lolling against his shoulder. She reeked of whiskey and vulnerability, a side of the ruthless boss he'd never imagined. What the hell had happened? Elena Harrington was a legend, the youngest female CEO in Silicon Valley's shadow, a woman who crushed boardrooms and competitors with a single glare. Rumors swirled about her. Divorced, no kids, a workaholic who slept in her office more than her penthouse. But drunk and alone? This was a scandal waiting to explode. Jake's mind raced as he bundled her into his passenger seat. If the paparazzi caught wind, her empire could crumble. And him? He'd be the hero, or the fall guy. Driving to her upscale condo, Jake glanced at her pale face illuminated by streetlights. She stirred, murmuring, "Don't tell anyone." Her hand brushed his arm, sending an unexpected jolt through him. "Focus, man. You're just the employee saving the day." But as he carried her inside, using the spare key from her purse, he couldn't ignore the intimacy of it all. Her home was a sterile palace, marble floors, abstract art, no photos of family. He laid her on the couch, fetched water and aspirin, and covered her with a blanket. She grabbed his wrist suddenly, eyes fluttering open. "Why you?" she whispered, before passing out again. Jake sat in the armchair, watching her breathe, his phone silent except for a text from the babysitter. "Lily's fine, but she's asking for you." Guilt twisted in his gut. His wife had died 3 years ago in a car crash, leaving him to raise Lily alone. Work was survival, not passion. Elena had never acknowledged his personal life, until now, in this bizarre twist of fate. As dawn crept in, Jake dozed off, only to jolt awake to the sound of shattering glass. Elena stood in the kitchen, a broken mug at her feet, staring at him like he'd grown horns. "What the fuck are you doing in my house?" she snarled, her voice a mix of hangover rasp and CEO steel. Jake raised his hands. "You were in trouble last night. I got the call to pick you up. Saved you from some creeps outside the bar." Her face paled, then flushed with fury. "You, my knight in shining armor? Get out before I fire you on the spot." But as he stood to leave, she clutched the counter, swaying. "Wait. What happened? Tell me everything." Jake recounted the night, omitting nothing. Elena sank onto a stool, head in hands. "I don't remember. God, I blacked out. This can't get out." That's when the shock hit everyone. Well, almost. Jake's phone buzzed with office gossip, rumors flying about Elena's wild night. But she didn't fire him. Instead, she looked up, vulnerability cracking her facade. "Why didn't you leave me there?" "Most would have." "Because I'm not most people," Jake said simply. "And because I see you. Not just the boss. The office that Monday was a powder keg." Whispers echoed in the halls. "Did you hear? Harrington got trashed and Thompson brought her home." Elena called an emergency meeting, her poise restored in a power suit. Jake braced for the axe. But as executives filed in, she dropped the bomb. "Effective immediately, Jake Thompson is promoted to my executive assistant. He's proven his loyalty beyond measure." Jaws dropped. Shocked murmurs rippled. Jake's eyes widened. Promotion? From analyst to right-hand man? It was unheard of. But Elena's gaze locked on his, a spark igniting that neither could ignore. "Dismissed," she said coolly, but lingered as others left. "You saved more than my ass last night. You saved my reputation. Thank you." Over the next weeks, their dynamic shifted like tectonic plates. Jake juggled dad duties with late-night strategy sessions in her office, where walls came down. Elena confessed her divorce had shattered her, driving her to isolation and that fateful bar binge. "I push people away," she admitted one evening over takeout Chinese. "But you didn't let me." Jake shared about Lily, the bedtime stories, the fear of failing as a parent. Elena surprised him by showing up at his modest apartment one weekend, bearing gifts for Lily, a stuffed unicorn that made the girl's eyes light up. "Ms. Harrington," Lily squealed, hugging her legs. Elena froze, then knelt, a genuine smile breaking through. "Call me Elena, sweetie." The attraction simmered, unspoken but electric. A stolen glance during a board meeting, a brush of hands over coffee. Then came the company gala, lights glittering like stars in the ballroom. Elena, in a stunning red gown, pulled Jake aside to the balcony. "I can't stop thinking about that night," she whispered, wind tousling her hair. "Not the drunk part, the you part." Jake's pulse thundered. "Me neither. But you're my boss. This could blow up." "Let it," she said, stepping closer. Their lips met in a kiss that tasted like forbidden fire, shocking in its intensity. But fate twisted again. Paparazzi flashes erupted from below. By morning, headlines screamed, "CEO's midnight rescue turns romantic. Single dad steals Harrington's heart." The office exploded. Colleagues gawked. Investors called emergency sessions. Elena's reaction? She strode into the boardroom, Jake at her side, and declared, "Yes, it's true. And if anyone has a problem, there's the door." Shockwaves rippled. Resignations, congratulations, chaos. But Elena and Jake? They thrived. Months blurred into love's rhythm. Jake introduced Elena to pancake breakfasts and park picnics. She showed him private jets and Parisian getaways. Lily adored her, calling her Auntie Elena, until one day, over ice cream, Elena knelt with a ring. "Make it official?" she asked Jake, tears in her eyes. He pulled her up, kissing her fiercely. "Hell yes." Their wedding was intimate under Seattle's rare sun, with Lily as flower girl. The world watched, still shocked by the CEO who fell for her savior. But in quiet moments, Jake held Elena, whispering, "Who knew midnight chaos could lead to this?" She smiled, tracing his jaw. The best stories start with a shock. And as they built a family, Lily gaining a mom, perhaps siblings on the horizon, their love proved unbreakable. A testament that sometimes saving someone means saving yourself. In the end, it wasn't just a rescue. It was destiny's wild, suspenseful plot twist.